My name is Robert Mason. I'm a retired engineer, father of two, and proud to say that after my accident 3 years ago, I've learned to live life from a wheelchair, not from weakness, but from perspective. When my wife and I moved into the Lakeside Grove neighborhood, I thought it would be the perfect place to start over. Quiet streets, friendly neighbors, manicured lawns, it all looked ideal. Until the homeowners association stepped in. It started small. I had just finished installing a temporary wheelchair ramp at my front porch, a sturdy wooden structure, functional but not fancy. A week later, I found an envelope taped to my door. Notice of violation, unapproved exterior modification. Please remove the ramp within 10 days or face a fine of $500. I thought it had to be a mistake. Surely, they didn't mean that ramp. I called the HOA office. Linda, yes, every HOA seems to have a Linda, answered. Her tone was sharp and rehearsed. Mr. Mason, your ramp violates the aesthetic standards of the community. All exterior modifications must be approved by the board. I said, ma'am, I'm in a wheelchair. I need that ramp to enter my home. She paused for a moment, then replied, we understand, but you can use your garage entrance instead. It's less visible from the street. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. My front door, my independence, was being labeled an eyesore. That night, as I sat in my living room staring at the letter, something inside me hardened. I'd spent my career designing buildings that combined engineering and beauty. If they thought my ramp was ugly, fine. I'd build something so beautiful, they wouldn't dare call it a violation again. The next morning, I started planning. I called an architect friend, Claire, who specialized in accessible design. Together, we sketched a modern ramp that flowed naturally with the house, made of steel, glass, and polished wood, with integrated lighting that glowed softly at night. It wasn't just a ramp, it was a statement: accessibility can be art. I applied for a city permit, submitted every document, and got full approval. Then I hired a small team of builders and got to work. Within a week, the HOA noticed. 3 board members showed up unannounced, clipboards in hand, watching as workers poured the foundation. Linda folded her arms. Mr. Mason, we didn't approve this construction. I smiled. You didn't have to. I already got city approval. And under state law, accessibility modifications can't be denied by a homeowners association. Her expression shifted from arrogance to panic. We'll review this, she stammered. I nodded. You do that. For the next 2 months, I worked every day on that ramp. Neighbors started stopping by to watch. Some offered to help, bringing coffee or holding boards in place while I measured. Kids from down the street loved the glowing lights that traced the ramp at night. When it was finally finished, the result was stunning. Smooth, curved handrails that caught the morning sun. Steps replaced with clean lines of polished oak. Soft LED strips illuminating the path like a piece of modern sculpture. It didn't just blend into the house, it elevated it. The HOA, of course, wasn't happy. A week later, I received another letter. Your ramp remains in violation of the community's visual standards. Please remove or alter it immediately. But this time, I was ready. I sent them back a thick packet of papers: building permits, ADA compliance certificates, city approvals, and a copy of the state statute that specifically protected accessibility modifications from HOA interference. Then I copied the email to a local journalist I knew from my engineering days. The subject line read, HOA calls disabled man's accessibility ramp ugly. The article went live 2 days later. Within 24 hours, the story spread across social media. Hundreds of comments poured in. Who finds a man for needing a ramp? Accessibility isn't ugly, ignorance is. Local news crews showed up at my doorstep. They filmed the ramp, the lights, and the crowd of neighbors who gathered to support me. By the next HOA meeting, the boardroom was packed. Linda sat at the head of the table, pale and tight-lipped. "Mr. Mason," she said, "the board has reviewed your documentation, and we've decided to withdraw all fines and complaints regarding your property." I nodded, good decision, because I was already preparing to file a discrimination complaint under the ADA. You could hear a pin drop. Then she forced a smile. "Perhaps you'd consider helping the board develop new accessibility guidelines for future homeowners." I leaned forward slightly. "Now that's a good idea." Over the next few months, I worked with the HOA to rewrite their policies, not because I wanted to, but because no one else would. We added a new rule. Accessibility modifications shall be considered exempt from aesthetic restrictions and may not be denied or delayed by the board. I made sure that lines stayed in bold print. A year later, my ramp was featured in an architecture magazine. They called it a perfect blend of design and dignity. And you know what? That meant more to me than any fine they could have sent. Now, when new families move into the neighborhood, they sometimes stop by and ask about the ramp. I tell them the story not out of anger, but as a reminder. That ramp isn't just for me. It's for every person who's ever been told that their needs are an inconvenience. It's proof that accessibility can be beautiful, and that no rulebook can stand taller than human dignity. So the next time I roll down that ramp and feel the sunlight hit my face, I remember what Linda once called it, ugly. And I smile because every inch of it shines with quiet defiance. Sometimes the most powerful statement you can make is simply to build something they can't take away.